It's easy to forget now, but just a few weeks ago, Kuminga and the Warriors were locked in one of the ugliest contract standoffs in recent memory. 92 days of tension. 92 days of silence between player and franchise. The front office wanted to cap his deal at $30 million a year. Kuminga's camp wanted 35. It became a chess match that nearly broke a dynasty apart. Rumors spread fast that Kuminga was frustrated, that he was demanding out, that the locker room had grown cold. His agent went public with his displeasure, and rival teams like Phoenix and Sacramento started circling like vultures. Yet somehow, out of that wreckage, a compromise was reached. A 2-year, $48.5 million contract with a team option in year 2. The Warriors came into this matchup desperate for a reset. Just 3 nights earlier, they'd been humiliated by the Portland Trail Blazers, giving up 139 points in a game that raised real questions about their defense, chemistry, and effort. Memphis, meanwhile, smelled blood. They hadn't beaten Golden State at Chase Center since 2021, and Ja Morant was out to prove something. The game began in a flurry, a Warriors 7-0 start, the ball flying, Steph Curry dancing, the crowd roaring. But then Memphis countered, ripping off a 12-0 run behind Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., taking a 1-point lead into the second quarter. It felt like déjà vu. The same defensive lapses, the same offensive stagnation. But this time, something shifted. Jonathan Kuminga found his rhythm. By halftime, he'd poured in 11 points alongside Curry, while the Warriors as a team tallied 18 assists on 21 made shots. It was the kind of unselfish, free-flowing offense that had defined their championship years. But it wasn't just the scoring that stood out. Kuminga's body language told a different story. The poise, the focus, the patience. Gone was the young man who once forced shots and let frustration consume him. In his place stood a player in total control of his emotions and his game. Then came the third quarter, the moment everything changed. While Moses Moody lit up the scoreboard with a barrage of 3-pointers, Kuminga quietly took over the game in every other way. Rebounds, deflections, fast break runs, defensive switches, he was everywhere. When matched up against Ja Morant, he didn't bite on the shifty guard's fakes or try to overpower him recklessly. He played smart positional basketball, reading Morant's moves like a veteran. And the most telling moment came late in the fourth when Kuminga caught a pass in the post against Morant. Every instinct in his younger self would have told him to bully his way to the rim. But instead, he directed traffic, called for a screen, and created the right play. That's not just skill, that's maturity. The box score tells the rest of the story. 25 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and a block. 9 of 14 shooting in 32 minutes. Efficient, composed, deadly. This was the player the Warriors had been waiting for, not just an athlete, but a leader. His 10 rebounds were symbolic of his growth. Before this season, Kuminga had never averaged more than 4.8 boards per game. Through the first 4 games of this campaign, 8 per night. That's not a coincidence. That's commitment. That's growth. And that's exactly what Steve Kerr had been preaching all preseason. Kerr's trust in Kuminga was on full display Monday night. With the Warriors playing the second half of a back-to-back the following day, Kerr rested his veteran stars, Curry, Butler, and Green, for much of the fourth quarter. But Kuminga stayed in. The message was clear. This is your team now. You close it out. And he did exactly that, scoring 10 of his 25 points in the final frame to bury Memphis for good. But what made this performance even more special was the context around it. The Warriors weren't relying solely on their usual heroes. Brandon Pajemski chipped in 23 points and 6 assists, Jimmy Butler added 20, and Moody scored another 20, including 5 threes off the bench. Draymond Green, always the emotional engine, dished 10 assists before fouling out, and even managed to sneak in a classic Draymond moment when he celebrated wildly after a Memphis player missed both flagrant free throws. The crowd erupted in laughter. That's the kind of chaotic energy that makes Golden State who they are, confident, loud, and unbreakable. Still, this night belonged to Kuminga. For a 23-year-old who had every reason to come into the season distracted, his composure was astonishing. Steve Kerr credited not only Kuminga's maturity, but also the mentorship of Jimmy Butler, who has taken the young forward under his wing since training camp. Butler's influence is evident. The patience, the emotional control, the understanding of when to attack and when to trust teammates, it's all part of the evolution. "I just want to help JK be great," Butler said. He's got so much raw talent, and now it's about channeling it the right way. That's exactly what we saw against Memphis. Kuminga didn't hunt shots. He didn't force plays. He flowed within the system, knowing when to defer and when to dominate. That's championship basketball. And that's what separates the Warriors from the chaos that swallows lesser teams. Despite months of public contract drama, despite speculation that he might be traded, despite everything that could have fractured this locker room, Kuminga came back and bought in fully. That's rare. That's culture. Memphis deserves credit too. Ja Morant was his usual electric self with 23 points and 9 assists, though his three-point shot deserted him completely. Jock Landale added 17 points off the bench, and Jaren Jackson Jr. battled on both ends. But it wasn't enough. The Warriors' ball movement and shot making were too much. They finished with 34 assists, hit over 51% of their shots, and buried 18 threes. The final score, Warriors 131, Grizzlies 118, doesn't tell the full story. This game was decided by effort, energy, and execution. And for the first time this season, Jonathan Kuminga was at the center of all three. So what does this mean for the Warriors moving forward? They're 3-1 now, with wins over the Lakers, Nuggets, and Grizzlies, all playoff-caliber teams. They currently rank among the league's elite in three-point percentage and assists per game. The formula that once defined their dynasty is back. Unselfish basketball, deadly perimeter shooting, and relentless defense. But what's new is the youth infusion, the rise of Kuminga, Moody, and Pajemski. This isn't just a veteran-led team anymore. It's a bridge between eras. For Kuminga, though, this game was about more than stats or wins. It was about proving something deeper, that he belongs, that the trust his teammates have placed in him is justified, that all those months of doubt and speculation were worth enduring. Because on this night, he didn't just play well, he led. When the veteran stepped aside, he took control. He showed the league that the Warriors' future isn't a mystery. It's wearing number 00. And so, as the lights dimmed at Chase Center and the fans filed out with smiles on their faces, there was a quiet sense of relief and excitement. The noise, the rumors, the uncertainty, all of it faded away, at least for one night. What remained was simple. Jonathan Kuminga, the player many thought couldn't handle the pressure, looked every bit like the star Golden State believed he could be. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Warriors' resurgence and Kuminga's breakout moment, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Do you think Jonathan Kuminga has finally turned the corner? Can the Warriors make another championship run with this mix of youth and experience? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.